So if we define autonomous here for this conversation as really human out of the loop, like fully autonomous, 5 years from now, I'm not saying revenue cycle can be fully autonomous necessarily, but a lot of the parts of revenue cycle could potentially be autonomous at that point in time. Like talking myself out of a job. I guess two things. One, do you think a largely autonomous revenue cycle is realistic in 5 years? And then two, I've heard this, right? If at that point in time, it's just semi-autonomous provider fighting semi-autonomous payer in revenue cycle to where they're just both spending a ton of money on data centers and insurance, right? Cybersecurity insurance. Do they just like, oh, wait, we're actually losing money fighting each other. Let's just go back to being friends and care about the patients again. I've always joked that I would gladly give up my revenue cycle career if it just meant that we all kumbaya and start caring about patients again. But anyways, yeah. So do you think 5 years, largely autonomous revenue cycle is realistic? And do you think it could get to a point in time where it actually brings payers and providers together because they're just AI fighting AI?
I do not think fully autonomous because you need accountability and you still need expertise for the check and balances of these models. So I do believe it's going to be semi-autonomous. Like, for instance, you can get somebody that's maybe newer in the revenue cycle or an analyst or something, and some of those newer functions could be more autonomous, but you still need the experience of an executive, an accountant, of a finance executive to work with these models to understand trends. And there has to be accountability. You cannot make systems accountable for your thing. The systems can help you, but there has to be human accountability. So I think semi-autonomous is the way I would see. You can't put away with, because then somebody's going to blame, oh, the system, did this. But at the end of the day, there has to be people in revenue cycle, managed care, finance, CFOs, CEOs that are accountable for these things, security people, etc. And the possibility exists that it could lead to some kind of mutual thing. I don't know if in 5 years, maybe some kind of mutual beneficial, but the problem is everybody's fighting for a limited amount of dollars. That's really what's happening. Nobody wants to talk about that, but everybody's fighting for a limited amount of healthcare dollars, and they're slowly diminishing a little bit. And when you're fighting, you could say all the, nice things you want, but it's more difficult to do that. Now, maybe I don't know if the government gets involved or what, or how it happens. So I see my answer would be semi-autonomous, some things being, easier things being fully autonomous. But I'm not sure about if they're fighting for the same dollar, how that relation, it would be better if there might be closer bonds. But some of these companies are publicly traded and they're accountable to the shareholders. So you have to really look at it in a sophisticated way that, we're accountable to make sure our patients have the best life. You're accountable to the shareholders. How do we have that fine balance? But yeah, AI could probably help with some of that stuff. So that's my long-winded answer there.
Yeah, no, and I think that's the most likely outcome, right? Like semi-autonomous solutions, and there still being a lot of the same problems that we face today. We're just handling them differently. But yeah, fiduciary responsibility of these large payers, that's a whole different conversation that, if you ask me, is probably the core of a lot of the problems we face in revenue cycle today.
Oh, yeah.